Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Basic, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to Beyond the Score with, well, I got to get you more fluent, Anthony K., who basically paid Lovie Smith off. He got fired for winning the game. Lovie Smith gets fired. Never mind. We'll talk about that in a couple. First of all, how was your weekend, Anthony?
It was a great weekend of basketball and football, so it was fantastic. How was yours?
Great. My Buffalo Bills won. And great news. Just 10 minutes ago.
My Bears won too.
Yeah, but nobody talks about your Bears. Who cares about your the Bear? Never mind.
They won. They won the first overall pick in the draft. Is what they won.
Thanks to a former coach. Never mind. We'll get to that.
We'll talk about it.
We got some huge news a week ago tonight. Damar Hamlin was in Cincinnati, and we were fighting for his life. And today, he gets transported from Cincinnati to Buffalo. He's staying now in a Buffalo hospital. And this is the quote, when the Buffalo Bills ran back the kick, he popped out of his chair, jumped around, and set alarms in the ICU.
Such good news.
That is not only good news, probably the best news so far this year. All right, best news so far this year. I don't know if I should say congratulations. Let's hope for more recovery, not only for him. Not a lot of people have talked about this, and I'm sorry, I know we're sports, but I got to talk about Damar Hamlin got lucky, but a 6-year-old shooting a teacher, and she's in critical condition, 6 years old. I'm not going to make any comment about this. You teach basketball to how to play 10-year-old, 11-year-old, a 6-year-old carrying a fire weapon and shooting a teacher. Unbelievable. All right, let's get to NFL Week 18. Regular season done. Next week, playoffs. And we got the Super Wild Card. Saturday, 2 games. Sunday, 3 games. Monday night, 1 game. But we're going to start Week 18. Started off Saturday. We're going to breeze through it because at 4:40, we got hopefully a special guest because there's a college football final tonight. I'll ask you for your pick later because I know you got a lot of Greek money there throwing around.
Oh, I sent my brother down. He is live in stadium.
Why didn't you tell me that? We should have got him on.
He was down on the field. Yeah, you should have let me know. We could have brought him live on. That's okay. I got the pictures up. You can go check those out at sports_fluent. His video walking down on the field.
Maybe we'll get him on tomorrow for midday update as opposed to today, Beyond the Score. Because if we're going to do midday update, it's 7 p.m. All right, we can't do midday update or midday mic. We can do Beyond the Score. Anyways, let's get to the Raiders, Kansas City. Ho-hum, Kansas City picking up the first pick in or home field advantage in the AFC. What did you think of Patrick Mahomes and the KC Chiefs?
By about halfway through this season, I realized that my early prediction that 1, the Raiders would make the playoffs was incorrect. 2, that the Chiefs would struggle to score points without Tyreek Hill, also incorrect. So the Chiefs are still the class of the AFC with Buffalo in that conversation. They are definitely the class of the AFC West until Patrick Mahomes goes somewhere else. I believe that now to be true. And as far as the Raiders are concerned, let's go Beyond the Score and say, let Josh McDaniels be the next coach to get fired because no one deserves it more than he does.
We'll touch about what they say, Blue Monday, Black Monday, and all that. It happened Sunday with your buddy, Lovie Smith, but we'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. Now, Saturday night also, Jacksonville, Tennessee. And Jacksonville, like they're going to play the Chargers. They don't scare the Chargers. Let me tell you, they don't. Even though the Chargers got a few injuries and all that, they were lucky, and I'm going to say lucky with Hobbs as the quarterback. They were lucky they intercepted a ball or a fumble recovery. They were lucky to win, beating Tennessee. Jacksonville now the champions of the South.
The Jags were supposed to be better than their worst last year. They were going to be better coached, less chaos going on like they had last year with I don't even want to say his name at the beginning of the season with what was going on. Lawrence kind of developing, people questioned the money they spent on Christian Kirk, on Zay Jones, on Evan Ingram. I'm going to say it right now. I know we're not talking about next week's games. I got the Jags beating the Chargers.
Oh my God! You want to put some money on this or what?
Justin Herbert is the new Phillip Rivers. That's what they're going to say after next week. I don't believe that to be true, but that's what they're going to say when he loses to the Jags.
One quarterback, either Justin Herbert or Kirk Cousins, is going to make it to week 2 of the playoffs. Now, which one? You never know. All right. So that's all I'm saying. All right, let's get to Sunday. Let's breeze through these games here. Let's first start off with my team. All right. Buffalo, New England at Buffalo. And what a way to start it off. We talked about Hamlin coming off and all that. 96-yard kick return. Then, later on in the game, 101-yard kick return. It's been 3 years and 3 months since they had a kick return. And, of course, Hamlin is number 3. Josh Allen, it does worry me. I'm going to be honest here. Okay, you know I love the Bills. Again, throwing a red zone interception. And throwing a red zone in, and this game was closer than I wanted, all right? Even New England was up a little bit, right? But the Buffalo Bills get the victory. What did you think?
Listen, the fact that the Bills came out and won this game is actually a testament. When you're that emotional, right? And even when you get to the emotional highs, like opening kickoff, running back, there's a low that has to come. There's a balance to the universe. And the fact that they were able to hold on, I get it, you were closer than you'd want it to be, but the fact with that much emotion, a lot of times when you're that emotional, you try too hard and you actually end up, maybe losing that game. I think with Hamlin getting better, being discharged from the Cincinnati hospital, talking, you can see, I saw him smiling the other day, like those things, and time, right? We'll kick in and Buffalo will kind of come back to who they are. Now, two things are going to happen. And unfortunately, I don't think it's in the middle. I think they're either the emotion was so high that now they come out flat and they're out, or they're going to ride that emotion and, that let's do it for DeMar, right? And it takes them right to the Super Bowl, which at the beginning of the season, that was my pick, which made you very happy, was Buffalo Bills Super Bowl.
Is it still your pick?
Yeah, I think it is still my pick. What I saw against the Patriots was, hey, emotional, but they are figuring out ways to kind of harness that, so I'm still with them. Kansas City's going to be, if they play the whole coin flip, neutral sites, all that, I hate that. So that's going to play.
I have information where the neutral site's going to be. I'll touch on that later on. But
I thought we all knew.
Yeah, where?
I thought it was Indianapolis.
Wrong. Indianapolis
really?
Can't have it there. I'll touch. It's going to be an open air stadium. Put it that way.
No.
Yes. I'll tell you.
North or south?
Sorry.
North or south?
Closer to Buffalo. Buffalo. All right, than Kansas City. Closer to Buffalo. From what I hear, it's about 80% done. It's 80% done. I'll tell you about it in a couple seconds. But New England, Bill Belichick's announced that he's not retiring. Is that good news for the New England Patriots?
No. It's not good news for the New England Patriots, and it's not good news for me because I told you he was going to retire at the end of this season. So I was wrong again.
But so wait a minute, you haven't been fluent in the last, you're saying all your mistakes.
I'm fluent enough to explain that, hey, sometimes even 90%, hey, there's still the 10% you get wrong. But I think it's a mistake. I think that Bill Belichick had created a culture that with Tom Brady, let's be very clear, with the greatest quarterback of all time and a top 10 defense, was able to be very successful. But in those 20 years, they were also not successful half of the time as well. And what has Bill Belichick shown? He doesn't do a good job of, let me rephrase. His coordinators can't go off and work on their own. They all stink as head coaches. So in his system, it works. He hasn't done it. If you look at the roster makeup isn't good. He rarely has elite players. He doesn't pay players. I get it. And the philosophy of getting rid of a player 1 year too early than 1 year too late has worked sometimes. It has failed other times. So what are they going to do here? They don't have Tom Brady. What have they done since Tom Brady?
Nothing.
Nothing. So to bring him back and to try and do the Patriot way, which also now it's getting long in the tooth. Certain, players don't react well to that type. And we see it. And I think that's why his coordinators fail. Because if you don't have a ton of veteran players who say, yeah, this is the way we do things, accept it, and you try to do that somewhere else, this failed. It failed in Denver. It failed in Oakland. It failed in wherever the hell the other guys went. But I know I'm picking on Josh McDaniels a little bit. But it has failed in all these other situations. So yeah, I think it's time for him to move on.
All right, so we touched on Houston, Indianapolis. Houston 32, Indy 31. Lovie Smith, they say, "Oh, you won the game? You're fired."
I
And
don't
you were
believe
a
that.
big proponent. You were a big proponent of Lovie Smith, of course, coaching in Chicago. And let's face it, if they put Bill Belichick in Houston, how many more wins would they get?
2. Maybe. Maybe.
So
Maybe.
Did Lovie Smith deserve to be fired?
Of course not. And neither did Cully last year. You bring a coach in, in an absolutely no-win situation and then fire him for not winning. It's ridiculous. And if you think about it, why is it that David Cully, Lovie Smith, 1 year and they're done? Cliff Kingsbury won 5 games his first season. Why didn't he get fired?
Well,
Why didn't he get fired?
after 4, he got fired today.
Well, sure, because they came in with expectations, but he came in with hey, we're going to lose a lot of games this year. And then the next year he went 8-8, and then I think he went 11-3, and then there's the big drop off this year. Obviously, there's injuries too, but it's interesting to me what Houston is doing. No, it's not interesting. It's stupid to me what Houston is doing. They're bringing in coaches in situations where you can't win, and then they fire them for not winning. So I think personally, and I have no proof of this at all, but it's my 100% my opinion. I think Lovie Smith was told this is your last game. And that's why he went for 2. He said, you know what? You're firing me? Cool. I'm taking something with me. And he took the number 1 pick. And good for him, as he should.
All right, so we'll touch on that also, but let's get quickly here. Your Bears. Minnesota goes into Chicago, beats the Bears 29-13. Because like they don't need a quarterback, or maybe they do. Your team is the Bears. Tell me, in April, where do you go? I know it's not April, but January 9th, whatever it is today, where do you go with the number 1 pick?
Well, it's bigger than that. So the Bears this year were 1-7 in 1-score games. So they were close. They were a lot better than people give them credit for. So with you're within 1 score, you're close, right? So 1-7 in 1-score games. Justin Fields obviously emerged as a top 15 quarterback in the league. You now have not only the number 1 pick, but you also have the most salary cap. So they have 2 wonderful things going for them this season. And now they have to make a decision. Do we stick with Justin Fields, who clearly took a huge step forward this season that's suited for him, and build around him, offensive line help, get some more pieces on the defensive end? Or do we go with the surefire first overall from Alabama, right? Get the Bryce Young, bring him in, and say, okay, now let's see what we can get for Justin Fields and in a trade and use that salary cap again. Either way, they're going to have to shore up the offensive line, get a wide receiver, and get some defensive pieces. I say you look at what you can get more for. Can I get more for the first pick, or can I get more for Justin Fields? And wherever the better package comes, more draft picks, more players, whatever that is, you take that. And you know what? I hate to say it, I really like Justin Fields, but it's a business. If I'm getting offered 5 draft picks and 2 players for the first overall pick, and I'm getting paid offered 3 draft picks and 1 player for Fields, then I'm trading the first overall pick. But reverse that, I'm getting way more for Fields. I'm sorry, Justin. Like, I got to move you. So I think they got to weigh what they're going to get more for.
All right. Well, that should be interesting in April. Let's get to Cincinnati 27, Baltimore 16. These 2 teams won't be on Sunday night. Is going to be a different result. Lamar Jackson probably will be playing.
Are you sure?
That's what I hear.
I heard he's not going to be playing, so I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. Lamar Jackson, love Lamar Jackson to death, but even when he comes into the playoffs, kind of on a roll, he hasn't done great in the playoffs. Now, granted, early, young, but now you're going to, after all these, there's going to be trust there. It's too much to expect, right? But it's too much to expect someone to come in after all that time off and just playoff atmosphere, just turn it on against a team that just went to the Super Bowl, a team that looks really good. You know, Joe Burrow looks really good. Jamar Chase looks really good. They're on a roll. So no, I stick with the same outcome. It'll be close though, again, because again, division rivalry. You know, those division games, those are always the hardest ones because they just know each other so well.
And Lamar Jackson could be playing his last game, or I played his last game in a Baltimore uniform. All I'm saying
I think it's his last game.
Yeah. Well, where do you think it's going to end up?
It's going to depend on the other pieces. Do you want to get into this? Because there's like three quarterbacks that I think are going to be on the move.
We'll touch on maybe later on or tomorrow for the midday. Let's get to another Miami 11, Jets 6. Miami in the playoffs to meet the Buffalo Bills Sunday 1 p.m. And you know what, Anthony? I don't usually say this. It's squish the fish time. It's squish the fish time. Mid-January in Buffalo. Hamlin coming to Buffalo. Maybe attending the game.
Yeah, listen, the Dolphins, they start off 8-3.
Yeah.
They're 8 and what are they? 9-8 now? 8-9. Yeah. Listen, Tua's gonna be the Tua injuries and concussions have kind of derailed this team. So I think it's a pretty easy win for the Bills. Luckily for them, the Dolphins, hey, better than some expected. Again, if it wasn't for the Tua injury, there's a lot of hope and optimism there. You know who would look really good in the Dolphins uniform? Lamar Jackson.
Yes. But I don't think are they going to get rid of? Never mind. That's another day here.
We'll save it for another day because I actually have Lamar Jackson as their number 2 option. Their number 1 option is someone else. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint. They already got fined for tampering with him anyways.
Here we go. All right. So Tom Brady. All right.
Just
Cleveland.
If you paid the price already, you might as well get him for a year.
Well, where does Sean Payton go with that? All right. Cleveland, Pittsburgh winning 28-14. I mentioned this game because here it is. Here is the nice tie-up. The rumor has it, 80% from what I hear, I have sources, that the AFC Championship game, if Buffalo plays Kansas City, is going to be in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. Well, let's give credit first to Mike Tomlin. I didn't think he'd get it done. He did. Saves off. He still has never had a below 500. He's had, I think, 3 or 4 8-8s, but never a below 500 season in Pittsburgh, which is just incredible. And this year, they had every reason. He would have had every excuse already there to be below 500. So good for Pittsburgh. I don't know that I like that game being played in Pittsburgh, but if that's where it's going to be, then that's where it's going to be.
They want to have it in open air, and the reason they're discussing is, like I said, the Hamlin's from Pittsburgh, and how apropos would that be, right? So I don't know, maybe Kansas City.
Right, because of Pitt. Well, that just falls more into the conspiracy theorists who are going to say the NFL is now trying to get Buffalo to win the Super Bowl.
Well, if you look at it, Kansas City's an outdoor stadium. Buffalo's an outdoor stadium. They got to play. They can't do it in Detroit. Apparently, Detroit's putting new turf down. They can't do it in Indianapolis.
That'll help.
And they don't want to go to Vegas because Vegas, they have the Pro Bowl or whatever.
Yeah.
There. So those 3 already, there's talk of having in the Meadowlands, but New Jersey or Giants may be playing still. So
Too bad Toronto doesn't have a beautiful facility for some NFL playoff football. Yeah, okay. Then Pittsburgh, I guess, with all that information, I guess makes sense. I still don't like it. Cleveland. Can I ask you a question about Cleveland?
Yep.
So Cleveland does what Cleveland does, right? They find ways to lose games. they're done. Even next year, right? They're done.
Well,
They're going to disappoint Cleveland fans again next year, right? Even with Deshaun Watson playing a full off season or whatever, they're done, right?
You know who has the third most salary cap?
Probably Cleveland.
You mentioned the Bears. Cleveland, the difference is they have Fields or Deshaun, Deshaun Watson,
No,
right?
no, we want no. Watson's not going to Chicago. Now, if I
No,
can,
I'm not saying he's going to
oh,
Chicago. Who's a better quarterback? They're ahead. Cleveland's ahead of Chicago. They got a better quarterback. They have Chubb with a running back. They have defensive. All they need is small little pieces, and they may finish 6th, 7th next year.
mm,
That's all I'm saying, right? So
all right, all right.
you,
I think they're
you
done.
never know. Like, it should be
Cleveland,
interesting.
Cleveland's going to do Cleveland things. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, look, Detroit finished 9-8, and they're still not in the playoffs. All right, let's get to 2 seconds here. Carolina, New Orleans. Anything?
I'm really impressed that Baker Mayfield did Carolina and LA proud, keeping both teams out of the playoffs. Good for him.
Well, he kept Detroit out of the playoffs too. 3
Oh,
teams.
right. Yeah, absolutely. He kept 3 teams out of the playoffs. That's just Faker, Baker, Butter Mayfield at his best. Good job, buddy.
All right. So
I'm a big fan. Can you tell?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you like the Baker's dozen. All right. Atlanta beating Tampa. Who cares, right?
They weren't playing. Yeah.
All right. So then 4 o'clock games. Seattle winning in overtime over the Rams. Kudos to Sean McVay. There is some rumors that Sean McVay may be moving on and all that, but who knows about that yet. Seattle, because of the win and because of the game we're going to touch on next, Sunday nighter, they are in the playoffs, and they take on another division rival, the San Francisco 49ers. We got division rivals Buffalo, Miami. We got Cincinnati and Baltimore and Seattle and San Fran there. So one of these teams,
much like Buffalo and the Buffalo game, this is going to be a bloodbath. Seattle has no shot. None.
All I'm saying is
Gino is writing his letter. He's writing you back right now as we speak.
What if Brock Purdy?
Cinderella is done. The story is over. The carriage is back to being a pumpkin. The horse are back to being mice. The dress is rags. The glass slippers are off. It's done. Seattle, thank you. Great season. Congratulations, Geno Smith. Amazing season. Great job, Pete Carroll. It's over. Thank you for coming out. Good night, everybody.
Brock Purdy throws 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
They still win.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think San Fran's going to win, but I just have a sneak. If there's one game in the wild card weekend, I see the Chargers, but that wouldn't be a surprise. Maybe, just maybe, either San Fran loses or your buddy Kirk Cousins loses.
Well, that'll give you. I'll give you Minnesota losing.
All right, then we go with the Chargers and Denver. Denver winning 31-28.
Again, the Chargers really didn't have anything to play for, so I'm not surprised. But I do say this: it's in these games where you have nothing to play for, last week of the season, that you're now going into the playoffs, even mentally, on a loss to a division rival.
Yep.
This is why I'm picking the Jags. I think these are games that, look, Denver's horrible. This is a game that even with their backups, they still should have won. So I'm out on the Chargers.
All right. Then you got a little bit tougher than even the Eagles would want. The Eagles clinching first place overall in the NFC, beating the Giants 22-16. Giants played nobody, and they only won 22-16.
Again, divisional game. You never know what to expect. They're going to play them close. They're going to play them tight. Jalen Hurts, I don't think, played fully like Jalen Hurts. I think they were holding him back a little bit. I know he threw the ball 35 times, but I think he only rushed it still 9 times.
They were hesitation.
But I still think they're saving him for the now he's gonna have a bye week and then come back. So I think that was more of it than anything. And hey, the Giants are a playoff team, so it's to be expected.
San Fran 38, Arizona 13. Kingsbury gone out as coach, like we talked about. Anything you want to add?
Long overdue. Just go look at Cliff Kingsbury's track record. He always starts off.
Hot.
You can look at a season, you can look at a game, and he starts off great, and then he fizzles at the end. He does not make adjustments well, and it caught him in college, and it definitely caught him in the NFL. This is, yeah, he's not the right head coach. He's getting fired. So, I love his house though. Great view from his family room there, his living room, whatever, from his TV. I don't know if you've seen that picture. It's beautiful, beautiful. Love it.
All right, now Commanders 26, Dallas 6. A lot of people, we got Cowboy Nation, we got, in Toronto, Bills, Cowboys, Dolphins, and, anybody there, Steelers. But in Cowboys Nation, they're saying this is the worst game Dak Prescott has ever played. They don't have confidence in Dak Prescott. They're going to lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Monday night. That's a Monday night wild card game. Monday night. All right. What do you say?
Okay, so let's again be clear. Dallas, there's no motivation. There was no motivation. You win, you stay 5 seed. Lose, you stay the 5 seed. So there was no motivation. If anything, they purposely played a stinker to get that out of the way, thinking maybe we'll trick ourselves into next week instead of this game being next week. We can't have 2 bad games in a row. But also look who rushed the ball. Malik Davis rushed it 5 times. Tony Pollard 7 times, Prescott 6, Zeke 8, Brian Anger. Like this is not typical, the game plan that wins games for Dallas. I think they were out of it because they knew this game doesn't mean anything. Now, again, bad mental makeup. Anyways, what I'm more worried about is their matchup next week, because their defense, which is what's gotten them this far, is predicated on speed. Tampa Bay, natural grass, slows everybody down. It's not an ideal matchup. I know Tampa Bay has a terrible record, but you're going up against Tom Brady on a field that takes away some of your biggest strength. This could be closer than people think. And if Dak plays like this, which I doubt, but if he plays like this, well, forget it. They're done.
And Tom Brady has never lost to the Cowboys.
Never?
He's 6-0. Ever.
Never ever.
Six. Never ever. And of course, they're playing a home game. Okay, so let's get to the last game of the year. Detroit beating Green Bay. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. Now, tell me your scenario. We hopefully will be joined by John Nelson in about 10 minutes. Tell me your scenario, QB carousel, and everything like that, and then we'll go small preview of a wild card weekend. Go ahead.
Well, it's unfortunate. I really did want Green Bay to win because I would have loved to see Aaron Rodgers lose to the 49ers again. That being said, it's wonderful to see him not make the playoffs and the Green Bay Packers being eliminated, especially against Detroit, who had just been eliminated 45 minutes before kickoff. So they had nothing to play for other than being able to say they kept you out of the playoffs as well. So I love that. Aaron Rodgers. So where's the one that makes the most sense for Aaron Rodgers, and people keep fighting me on this one, is San Francisco. It's San Francisco. It just makes sense. They need a QB. Trey Lance is not that guy. No offense to Brock Purdy, he is not that guy. So why not go there? They are set up to win in the next year or two, and then beyond that, who knows, right? They'll have Christian McCaffrey still, Deebo Samuel. Like they have the pieces, the defense. For Aaron Rodgers has never had weapons like this, an offensive mind like this, a defense like this. It would be perfect for him to hit that elusive second Super Bowl and ride off into the sunset in his hometown. That's the one that makes the most sense. Obviously, people are saying, Oakland, Las Vegas to the Raiders, be reunited with Devontae Adams. Sure, yeah, that makes sense from that perspective. So I'd say those are the 2 leading candidates.
The coach in Vegas, like we talked about, like he needs a good coach and he needs a great plan.
Well, he's never had.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Before I say that, Mike McCarthy, he's never really had a good coach.
Well, better than the guy in Vegas right now.
Sure, but I also think they should fire him. So maybe they'll listen.
If they don't, okay. So you mentioned Tom Brady to Tampa, right?
Tom Brady to Miami. Tom Brady to Miami. And again, Tom Brady, already listen. They got fined. They got whatever the draft pick. They already took the hit for tampering. Tua should probably retire. Right? Like, let's just as
Yeah,
not as a
yeah,
football player, as a human being. After all those concussions, four concussions this season, it is
yeah.
you just
Too much.
save yourself. I'm sorry, have a life. Just retire, or take a year off. Sure, whatever. And then so perfect. Tom Brady comes in, plays one more year with a really talented roster. Could you imagine what he'd do with Tariq Hill and
Oh,
Waddle and it would be, and again, there's interest there, right? There's a reason there was a conversation. So there's interest there. Number two, if Miami doesn't go the old route, pick up Lamar Jackson. He is a bigger, stronger, faster, not as accurate, but a bigger arm, which might help with Tariq Hill. Than Tua. Why not? And then it gives you another threat in the running game. Absolutely, why not? Take a chance.
I forgot to mention one other guy. Marty Roberts, part of FiredUp Network, has thrown out this that Aaron Rodgers may go to New York, the Jets. Much like Brett Favre went to Minnesota and the Jet, because the Jets, they need, even though they have young super quarterbacks and all that, but with that defense, because Saleh is building a good defense and all. That's what he's saying. I'm not, that's what he's saying. Do
Is he a
you?
Jets fan? That's
No,
the
he's
only
not.
explanation to that.
He likes the Washington football team or the Commanders.
Oh,
Yeah, he
right.
hates the Bears, by the way. He hates the Bears.
Oh.
He hates the Bears, all right? So there it is. All right, so let's give a small preview. We'll be back later on this week with a full preview. So let's begin with the 4:30. Two games on Saturday. Two games on Saturday. And it starts off with Seattle, San Fran. And then Saturday night, we got the Chargers. We already said with Jacksonville. But let's start off with Seattle, San Fran. What do you say? It's going to be a tougher game, or
No, San Fran in a blowout.
all right? How about the Chargers in Jacksonville?
Jags in a very, very close one.
All right, Sunday 1 o'clock bypass. You're not going to. Well, since the president is here, you're not going to go against his team. All right. Then 4:30, the Giants, Minnesota. The Giants, Minnesota. Like
I'm sure you want to ask me that game because I think Bills in a blowout. You want to hear that Bills over Dolphins in a blowout.
Listen, Anthony. If I wanted to hear that I already, it's not going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a 10-point game, 28-17, something like that. That's what I believe. But anyways, Giants, Minnesota.
You know what? 4:30 game, Giants, Minnesota.
By the time the game ends, it's like 8 o'clock. It's night.
Yeah, but it's Sunday. It's not Monday. You know what? I'm gonna go with another upset. I'm gonna go Giants over Vikings.
All right.
Shout out Coach McGahee.
Then, yeah, that's your buddy. 8:15 game Sunday night. Ravens and Bengals. You already said the Bengals are a much closer game.
Very close. Yeah, like that's gonna be a field goal game. That's gonna be a violent, typical AFC North matchup.
All right, and then the Monday night super wild card weekend, they're calling it, the Cowboys and the Buccaneers.
What makes it super wild card?
Because it's Monday.
Super. Just the Monday game, super wild card. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because usually Saturday, Sunday wild card weekend. Now it's super wild card.
What did they start that last year when they added in the extra team? Okay. So Bucks and Cowboys. Well, Cowboys do what Cowboys do. And I guess Brady does what Brady does. So Cowboys choke in the playoffs. Brady beats the Cowboys, right? That's what we do.
So you're known for football and basketball. So I'm going to ask you right now. We're negotiating $114 million deal with you to get Sports Fluent more on Fired Up and everything like that. Fred VanVleet also, rumor has it, turned down.
Good. Absolutely.
Okay.
Trade him.
So. And then he says, no, it was never offered to him and all that. You never know with the Raptors because they keep everything hush, hush, hush. All right? If it's true, they offered a 5-year, $114 million deal. And if it's true that he turned it down, why isn't he be traded already?
They're probably trying to find a trade partner who's willing to pay him the $130 million plus that he wants. Now, I saw a report today, true or not, I don't know, that said he believes that Toronto doesn't have the interest or the money. Not they don't have the money, because they have the money, but the willingness to give him the money that he wants. And listen, Fred VanVleet is a great player, but right now he's in a position of he's not in a good spot to negotiate. You are the worst shooter in the NBA. You have the lowest field goal percentage of any player in the NBA. And when you're not on the team, it's not like they lose or win any more games. You're not affecting their win-loss column right now. And players forever get paid on two things: either thank you for your service, or we see potential. Fred's not getting any better. He's not getting any younger, so they're not paying him on potential. So if they were to give him this contract, it would be based on thank you for your service. I think for a guy who's been undrafted, winning a championship, doing all those things, I think the Raptors have taken very good care of him. He's looking for a payday, and I get it. I'm better than Tyler Hero, so I should get paid more than Tyler Hero. Cool. I get that. I'm not saying I don't. But for a Raptors team that is in the process of building around their one quasi, I don't want to call him a superstar, but their star player in Pascal Siakam, while bringing in Scotty Barnes, their new young star to be, it doesn't make sense to have Fred on that roster, who needs to be more of a point guard and plays more like a shooting guard, right? They need a facilitator for those guys, not someone who's going to jack up shots, and not someone who, and again, I'm not knocking Fred at all. Fred is not the starting point guard on a championship team. Fred is either the starting point guard on a fringe playoff team, or he is the backup point guard on a championship team. So you can't pay him that kind of money. So like I said, why hasn't he been traded? They probably just haven't found a partner who's going to do, because now it's a half year rental, unless they know, hey, yeah, we're going to pay him what he wants. Those teams are like, who's a team that needs a guy like that?
We'll put the basketball talk on hold. We got the Hall of Famer, John Freeman Nelson from OSG Sports in Atlanta. Here, there's a big, Anthony, by the way, John, say hi to Anthony. He's going to get you more sports for
Hey, John, how are you?
All right.
All right, there's a big college football game happening tonight at SoFi Stadium. And Anthony just told me his brother's there, sipping on cocktails and everything like that. Who does your brother have in the big game, Anthony?
Well, we definitely differ on this one. He's got TSU. I've got Georgia.
All right, and who does John Nelson from Atlanta, Georgia have?
Oh.
See, but now you can't play that. That's too easy to play. You can't do that. No. I'm not going to let you do that. You know me better than that.
Yes, I know. By the way, he likes the San Diego Chargers, LA Chargers, all right? So talk about him after you pick your pick for college football. Go ahead.
San Diego, now LA Superchargers. No, but right now, I think that you look at the first thing that stunned me after the national semifinals was the number that the juice box purveyors put on the board at 12.5, 13.5. You're sitting there going, wait a second here. But remember, the last time that we've had numbers that big, they've been blowouts. I don't think you're going to get that tonight. I think that what you're going to get is, TCU really lives and dies by chunk plays and work on the clock. And I think they average 2.5 or 3.5 plays of 30 yards or more. They're going to have at least that going up against the secondary for the University of Georgia. And Georgia has been known to give up a lot of yards. Just when you get into the red zone, that's when they clamp down on you. And I think that that's going to be the problem. I think that if TCU is going to score, I think that it's going to have to be in different ways, and it's going to have to be in chunk plays, because once you get inside the 20, I think all you're coming away with is 3 at best. And for the University of Georgia, I know that a lot of folks are looking at the H-back situation with the health of Washington and Brock Bowers not being as active as he was. I think Georgia gets it done. I don't think that they get it done anywhere close to that 12.5. So I think TCU covers. I think Georgia wins, and we get the 5th time in the modern era with a back-to-back champion without a split poll.
And the over-under 61.5, over or under, John, and then I'll go to Anthony.
No, I think we go over, because you're looking at something in that 34-27 range. If you're in there, I think that probably the game starts out a little slow because of the two teams trying to get adjusted to SoFi. And I think that second and third quarter it opens up, and then I think that you get north of that total. So I'm looking at that 34-27 number for Georgia.
All right, he picks 34-27 for Georgia. Anthony, do we get more sports fluent?
I agree on almost every point, which isn't great for a show, but hey, you got to keep it true. I think Georgia, but I definitely think the over. I agree it starts off slow and then it opens up in the second half, but I think that's where Georgia takes a bigger lead. So I think they do cover I think the last one I saw was 13.5 or 12.5. So I think they do end up winning by 17, 18 points. So I'll probably go more something like 42. I got to do my math here. 42-24, 24, something like that. Yeah.
So you're picking the Georgia Bulldogs. Both you guys picking the Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh yeah.
For that matter, I'm not going to pick Georgia because he's from Atlanta. Look how many stars he got. So many stars though, and all that. Let's pick a big upset. TCU 38. Atlanta 35.
You mean University of Georgia 35 there, Cowboy. You got to calm down with that Atlanta talk. Just because I'm based here doesn't mean that I'm an alum.
Well, hold on, John. Atlanta's based. What state is Atlanta in?
See, now you're rounding off. You can't do that. You cannot round off if you're talking about Atlanta and Athens. It's a 90-minute drive. I was there last week for a basketball contest in the conference where it just means more. I mean, that's like saying that Atlanta and Athens are the same thing is like saying Toronto and Niagara Falls are the same thing. You got to
Toronto and London the same. Yeah. They're just, it's not. You're absolutely correct.
According to the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, he told me they're the same thing. He likes Georgia. All right.
AJ's from Gainesville. That's an hour and 10 minutes.
That's a whole nother.
All right.
Athens, Georgia, home of the replica Acropolis. Shout out to Athens, Georgia.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Right. Yes.
Now you're more fluent.
We touched about that you're a big fan of the San Diego Chargers, now LA Chargers. They made the wild card. They are taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars Saturday night, 8:15. By the way, Anthony has picked the Jacksonville Jaguars in a rout, he says.
Nah, that's not what I said.
See how he gins things up here.
You said what? You said by a touchdown. You said by
no, I didn't. I said by a field goal in a close one.
That's still not a rout. I mean,
even a touchdown isn't a rout. Georgia's going to rout TCU.
Anyways,
that's a rout.
Favored by 1.5.
Damn,
John, go ahead.
Okay. Full disclosure. As a part of one of the other me's, I have covered the career of Trevor Lawrence ever since he was a ninth grader who started in high school at Cartersville High School, which is not quite, at Atlanta and Athens. It might be Pearson and downtown. If you want to go ahead and say Cartersville and Atlanta are the same thing. But to see him stick with and to see Jacksonville stick with T-Law and what they've been able to build, they finally gave him an offensive line where he's not on his butt, 39 minutes a game and trying to figure out where he's going to be passing the ball. You have Etienne at running back, and it's that Clemson connection that's there. You've got the weapons that are there that have worked their way through. And a defense that has responded when they've needed to, especially last week. I like Jacksonville to win this one. And I think that, once again, it's the continuing evolution of the success of the career of Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you look at what Trevor's done the last 6 or 7 games in the NFL as you were getting toward the postseason. You've seen him really take advantage of what's been given to him when it comes to the offensive game planning from Doug Peterson and the Jags. So I'm going to go, I agree. I think it's going to be a close one, but I think that it's going to be the Jags at home. And I think that you're going to see the juice boxers sit there and play it at 3, which basically means they think it's a push. And I think it's going to be right in that margin. It's probably going to be 24-17, 24-20, something like that. But I think the Jags get it done.
You brought a smart guy on here, Joe. What I don't understand is how does a guy from Atlanta become a San Diego fan? I'm not from Atlanta. I
was born in a suburb of Los Angeles.
Well, there we go.
Was not a fan of either the Rams or the Raiders growing up. So for me, it was Clippers, Kings, Chargers, Angels. That's where it was for me when I was growing up. I have dual citizenship, California and Georgia. That's how I
Andrew, oh, there we go. Okay, but I also think the other part is this injury to Mike Williams, right?
Yeah.
Is he that? I think that also will play a factor. And I'd have to say this because we're talking about this game, because I know my guy Jay the Plug, who is a frequent host for Austin Eckler on his fantasy show, is going to kill me for picking against them. But I have to go with what I think. Sorry,
All right,
guys.
John.
Sorry,
John, I'm negotiating a deal with Anthony K, 114 million, because he picked the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl.
114
John,
the entire bucks. Was that what the value?
yeah, well, he knows maybe
he knows you well, Joe.
Mr. Greek food or something like that. All right, so like John,
114 trips to Nino Diversa. How about that?
Yeah, that's right.
Take it. I'll take it.
He knows that he was at John. Full disclosure, he was part of the Score television network about, I won't say how many years ago, but
11 billion. Yeah, I was there.
Right.
I was there as Southeast U.S. correspondent when the Score did TV. So
all right, so we're sort of heading to Super Bowl card weekend.
Can we say that?
Yes.
Can we say those two words?
Go ahead.
Can we those two words? Can we say the S word and the B word without getting?
Yes, we'll say it. I'm not going to get in trouble. If I do, I'll send to Anthony here. He's got 114 million. Come on. All right, John. So now we're on the eve of Super Bowl card weekend, or a couple of days away. Who's your Super Bowl pick? Forget about who's going to be in the game.
Oh, so forget about who's going to be in the game. I'm just going to pick Super Bowl. Is that how?
No, tell me who's going to be in the game and who's going to win.
No, because we're just starting. I'm not going to
pick a game. Come on, you're killing my momentum. Look, I'm negotiating 114 million. If you pick the Buffalo Bills and you're the Hall of Famer, you deserve more than 114 million. I'll send the contract to Fred VV.
Oh man, no, I'm not. No, not this early. I'm not. You want to sit here and you want to pin things down? No, I mean it's gonna in the AFC. It's gonna come down to chalk. I think it's gonna come down to the neutral site game of Buffalo and Kansas City. See, now that's another thing. Where do you schedule that one? That's neutral site.
Anthony, tell them he didn't hear the breaking news from the president of provinces of Canada.
Did the PPC call that it's going to be in either Ann Arbor or at the Horseshoe? A midpoint.
He thinks he's saying Pittsburgh. I don't know if I buy that.
You wanna? You know what? I'm even putting some shekels on it. It's going to.
It'll probably be in the Sky Dome before it's in Pittsburgh.
No, it's going to be in Pittsburgh. It's going, and I told you why, because they're going to honor Damar Hamlin, and also Indianapolis. They can't play it. Detroit's putting new turf. Detroit's putting new turf. Las Vegas, they're not going to go there because they have the shenanigan Pro Bowl there. Okay, so.
There's nothing going on in Chicago. If
you don't.
There won't be a playoff game there in a while. So,
do you want that bad juju of the turf at Soldier Field in the spaceship? I don't know if you want that.
Well, that's why they're building a new stadium out in the suburbs too. So
exactly 2.2 double extra large to build a new stadium to get away from the river. To get away from the lake.
I have heard it's at Pittsburgh because they want to make it an outdoor.
People. I don't think that's enough people because you know that Buffalo, you know that the Mafia will travel, and you know that Kansas City will travel. I don't know if that's enough folks. I really don't. And then how are you going to distribute tickets? You're going to go 50-50? You're going to go
know. Leave that to the rest of the
lottery.
That's what I heard.
You're going to go third with the home site and see if anybody from the home market wants to go, and then you're gonna ace out the two teams by carving it up like that. I think that you got, man, that's a mess waiting to happen unless you get a venue that's big enough.
Well, 75,000 in Pittsburgh.
I kind of like the idea of playing in Michigan.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that stadium holds 100K, right?
Yeah, you play 100. You put 108. You got enough space for 108,000. You play in Ann Arbor, and it's a fairly decent,
fairly central. Yeah, I love that idea. Idea.
That's a good idea, but it's not going to happen. All right, so here it is. Here it is. We before John came on basketball here, I have another breaking news item here. Anthony, you got to hear this.
Need to get you a breaking news sounder if you're going to.
Anthony has it. Give him the Ric Flair woo. He loves Ric Flair. See, there you go. Okay. All right. So you heard after halftime, Scotty Barnes and Thaddeus Young got into a little tat-tat-tat. All right. So here's exclusive news. Thaddeus Young was watching halftime Haley at halftime.
Oh, jeez.
They were I'm promoting Sports Fluent, and wait, and then Scotty Barnes wanted them to change it to OSG Sports.
Oh,
All right, so that's what was the disagreement: Sports
Makes
Fluent,
complete sense.
OSG
Makes complete
Sports,
sense.
and all that. All right,
boy.
so Anthony, tell everybody how they get a hold of you.
After all this, I don't know if I at sports_fluent. That's IG, Twitter, and TikTok, or find all the shows on Players Choice YouTube.
Yeah, and here's my Hall of Famer, John Freeman Nelson, writer of how many books, John?
6.
6 books.
Yeah, 6.
That's more than I've read. Good for you.
Hey, we're working on 7 through 10 right now. I've got. Let me see. Here's my piece of paper. Actually, there's the next 4 projects.
Hold on. Let the producer do something.
7 through 10.
Oh.
No, it's 7 through 10 and their ideas, and I don't want anybody to steal them. So no close up is allowed.
All right, and you see in the top right corner, that's the copy
next to AK up there. Yeah, up off his left shoulder. Yeah, that's book number 6. You can go on Amazon, Noble Strong Lessons in Destiny. There you go. There's the index finger. And actually, you know what?
No wonder you're paying $114 million for that.
I'm worth it because you know what? I had to realize that he sees it over my left shoulder, but this is my right shoulder in my actual screen.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go. There's your see that you can do a close up for that. All right, thank you. Go back out to the full. Go to Amazon. You do a John Nelson search, Jon John, Noble Strong Lessons in Destiny, book 6, about a high school football coach, a very small town in Georgia, about a town, a team, and a tragedy, and how all of them came together in a time of need. So very, very cool story on a family that I love very much. And follow along right there. See, I can do that. I can point at the lower third. At OSG Nelson on the Twitters, Cute Sports Guy on Instagram, because when the boss says that's what you are, that's what your handle is. And OSG Sports app and Soccer Down Here apps available iOS and Android.
And John and Anthony, just let's close out with this. We started off at the beginning of the show with Damar Hamlin now being moved to Buffalo from Cincinnati last week. It was 1 week ago tonight. John, give me your thoughts because I haven't had you on for about a week and a half. So go ahead.
When the news initially broke, I was following all the breaking news in and out of Cincinnati, and so I've been monitoring it ever since. Just a tremendous showing by all of his teammates, and I mean that in a league-wide sense, of whether it's front office, coaches, players, fans, just about how the unifying elements of love and prayer and thought really can help us in a time like this. And it's great to see Damar be moved from Cincinnati, I guess, Joe, to ECMC. Do we know specifically where?
I don't know where it is, but I think it is ECMC in Buffalo.
That's my guess. Erie County Medical Center, one of the great trauma centers there in Western New York. And really, and there was at the press conference today, one of the things that irked me, and I know that we're up against the top of the hour, but the question was asked about Damar going back to playing. When I heard about that question being asked, I literally rolled my eyes, and it's like, look, he just relearned. He just started taking his first steps in recovery on Friday, and I mean that in a physical sense. He was re-walking on Friday. The thing that he needs to focus on now, and we all need to focus on, is to continue to give Damar all of the love and good vibes humanly possible so he can continue his recovery, and let him focus on that. Great work by all of the emergency medical technicians that were there in Cincinnati, and everyone attached to Buffalo as well. But no, just, the shirt said it all. Love for Damar. And I think that the NFL would be smart, and I know that Damar is smart with his charity, where now proceeds are being turned from his initial toy drive of $2,500, which is now north of about $6.5 million, to the trauma center at UC and all the EMTs that were associated with that. So good stuff across the board. Just continue your best love and vibes and everything sent to Damar's way as he continues to recover. That's where the focus needs to be.
Anthony, any last comments?
The only thing I can add to that is this. What I saw from Damar Hamlin, from that incident, from everybody, was that we can come together. Mm-hmm. And I would say let's not wait for another incident before we start doing this more and more in our everyday lives.
Amen.
Right? We saw that there's good in people. So do that more. just do that more. I think that's the one thing that we're all capable of it. And I think this incident showed us that. So that's the only thing I would add.
Couldn't say it any better. Again, for the Hall of Famer John Freeman Nelson of OSG Sports in Atlanta.
Which is not next door to Athens, by the way.
Just asked AJ Styles, all right? All right. And
hour and 10 minutes.
Look how fired up he gets. John, I want that fired up for the soccer show, all right? For Anthony K, who got you more sports fluent, I disagree with both you guys. Jacksonville's not going to win. I spoke to Tony Khan, all right? Stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network. Thanks a lot, guys.